Hey, what is going on, everyone? So in today's video, not only do we have the latest Friday blog post to talk about, but I want to go over the kits from the previous new character X blogs that we've had trickle in this week, partly because we have the new patch 4.6 coming next week, probably on Tuesday. I think that's when it was data mined for, and I want to ask the question whether or not we need these new characters, specifically as it pertains to raids, since there is a fair bit of raid passives going on with these new Astonishing X-Men characters. So since this video might be a little bit longer, I will have timestamps in the description below if you want to hear me talk about particular parts of it. I'll try to make that clear. Hopefully by the end of this video we can figure out how much it'll be worth going for these characters based on what we know so far, and for those of you like myself maybe who have a heavily built up Symbiotes team already, and why should we bother with this new team and what benefits will we get out of them. I think with more and more character releases we need to start asking ourselves what greater benefit do we get out of these characters that we can't already do with existing ones, and is it worth gearing them up from the bottom, which is quite a bit of ask, you know, going from 1 to potentially 80 soon and gear tier 14, 15 or whatever. So buckle up everybody and let's get started. Alright, so the first character that we're going to be looking at is the new updates that they did to Beast. So Beast is confirmed as a member of the Astonishing X-Men. Not too much of a surprise here if you know any of the lore, but what's important is we're going to skip through a lot of this here. Most of you probably have already read this, but we're going to skip to where they made the changes to his kit. And so as far as I'm aware, I think they just added for the ultimate, I think they just added in Astonishing X-Men to all of it. So basically he just buffs and does a lot of support for the whole team. Originally it was the Uncanny or original X-Men characters, and now it's been to including the Astonishing X-Men characters as well, and you can still use them with the old X-Men as well. So that's all this changed for the ultimate, but what's important here is on the passive, and I believe there's an extra 5% heal here. So originally it was if this X-Men on turn, if this X-Men ally is an X-Men, it's 15% of his max health. Now it's 20% if that character is Astonishing X-Men. Now, what I don't understand, I think it might heal twice. This is, if that ally is an X-Men, heal for 15%. If that ally isn't Astonishing X-Men, heal again for 20%. So, if the characters still have that tag for X-Men, then it looks like it's going to heal twice, which is quite a bit of healing, actually, from Beast for these Astonishing X-Men characters. And, again, they were just updated some of the passives here to include that. Although, interestingly, for the campaigns and challenges portion, it's still only Uncanny X-Men characters. So, I guess, you know, if you're trying to do that for the original, some of the campaigns, and I think Do More maybe, and some of the newer level 70 plus campaign nodes, if you did want to use the X-Men characters, you still have to use Beast and Phoenix and all that, because that's what it was designed for there. So that's all I'm going to say there. It looks like that they're going to be hopefully making Beast more farmable, though, pretty soon. So let's jump on over to the first new character, and that's going to be going to be Iceman. I was supposed to say X-Men, but it's Iceman. So this is the sneak peek week 2. This was just from a couple days ago. And so again, we're just going to scroll through the kit here. So Iceman is, let's go to the bottom here, Hero, Global, Mutant, Controller, X-Men, and Astonishing X-Men. So he does have both the tags, so that's good for Beast's passive. Again, that's going to be healing twice most likely. We'll have to wait and see though in game if that's actually what ends up happening. So he does do apply slow on his basic here, so 240% damage plus apply slow, 1000% extra focus, so that's almost guaranteed to land. His special, which is 3 out of 3, very low cooldowns actually on him for a controller character. Attack primary target for 280%. If the target has slow, it always crits and applies stun. So this is quite damaging, and it's on a very low cooldown of 3. Now the ultimate Ice Slide, this is an energy cost of 5 out of 5, and it buries yourself for 30% of his max health, then attacks all enemies for 320, plus apply 1 slow to each target. So there's a lot of slow in his kit, and he really takes advantage of the slows by applying stun on his special, and then here on the passive is really important. So on spawn, if his health is full, and there's 4 or more Astonishing X-Men allies, he can revive once with 40% max health. Now this is pretty big. This is kind of like the Ultron respawn, but unfortunately you do need 4 members of the Astonishing X-Men to trigger that. So on enemy slow, bury yourself for 5% of this character's max health. So I would assume that every time that happens, you get 5%. So because the ultimate is hitting all enemies and applying 1 slow, I would imagine it's 5% barrier for 5% of his max health times the amount of targets that he landed that on. So that could be potentially a lot of barrier. So on enemy turn, 30% chance to attack that enemy for 140% piercing. If that enemy is slow, always attack that enemy for piercing. So that's quite a bit of extra damage there, and most likely that he's going to have slow on the enemies, at least at all times. He's going to want to do that. Lowers enemies by 20% for all enemies with slow, and in raids, this is super important here, and that's kind of what started this whole raid Astonishing X-Men thing. Lower damage by 30% for all enemies with slow. This is quite a bit, but again, when we get further on into the video, we're going to be talking about if this really makes a huge difference, and how we're going to be comparing this probably to Symbiotes, who, keep in mind, we're only about a patch and a half, 2 patches ago when they came out, depending the newest ones anyways. So yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on this team and how it compares with the Symbiotes, at least in terms of ultimates. Now, if this team, the Astonishing X-Men team, have another space for them, you know, maybe future raids, something new, then we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. So that's all for Iceman. There is a little bit of a animations thing here. If you guys haven't seen it, it's kind of neat there. So that's just the basic, I believe, there. And then we have Absolute Zero. That's the passive, I think. Then the Ice Slide. So it's hitting... Oh, wait, maybe that wasn't the ultimate. This is the ultimate here, I think. That's Ice Slide, and that's hitting everyone. Or maybe that is. I can't even tell, actually, but the animations are pretty cool. And I do really like Iceman as a character, so I might get it. It's just... We'll wait until later in the video when I kind of discuss how I really feel about the team. So let's move on to the next character, and this is Kitty Pryde. This was, as of the video, actually, this was yesterday for me. So this is day 3, and this was on Thursday, I believe, here. So that's Kitty Pryde with Lockheed, who is the dragon that's related, the little mini dragon that's related to Kitty Pryde. And so we're going to scroll again. We're going to go all the way down to the kit here. So we have the traits here: Hero, Global, Mutant, Protector, X-Men, Astonishing X-Men. So Shadowcat Strike, that's the basic. Attack primary target for 250 plus 2 clear positive effects. Plus clear 2 positive effects. I think I said that weird. And so that's pretty good, actually, for a basic attack. Clearing 2 positive effects is quite substantial, I would say, for a basic. Special Lockheed Blast. Energy costs 4 to 4, so available on turn 1. Attacks all enemies for 280%. Apply offense down for 2 turns to all enemies that are not taunting. So anyone that's not a tank or doesn't, you know, who doesn't have taunt, I suppose. Flip taunt to defense down on all taunting enemies. So if there are any tanks that are on there, then it's going to flip that to defense down, which is great. Only 1 turn, unfortunately. If any enemy had taunt, filled this character's speed bar by 30%. So it is a nice AoE damage on a cooldown of 4. We'll have to see what kind of damage stats she has, but the offense down for 2 turns is really, really nice for a 4-turn special. So I wouldn't say it's going to be up all the time, but with combination with slow from Iceman, probably it won't be too hard to reapply this quite a bit. Now, her ultimate is Mischievous Sprite, and so this is energy cost 4 to 4, again available on turn 1, so I guess if you're playing against the AI, this is what it would default as on turn 1. Attack primary and adjacent targets for 320% damage, plus apply Disrupted. If target is tech, apply Disrupted for 2 turns instead. Now, you can read into this as you will. If target is tech, you know, I would think of characters like Ultron, maybe even Doctor Doom, you know, as we get further in onto the game and more people unlock them. This is quite interesting. I'm not sure what exactly they were intending with this this tech tag here, if that maybe kind of leads into the Astonishing X-Men as being more viable for war offense when you're fighting some of these characters like Ultron and Doctor Doom possibly are the most that come to mind off the top of my head. But if there's any other considerations I should think of, then please mention that in the comments below, and then I'll take that on board. Those are the 2 probably most threatening ones that I can think of. This attack is also unavoidable and cannot be blocked. So her passive, gain 30% dodge chance, so she dodges quite a bit, as she should, as someone who can phase. When this character drops below 50% health, gain stealth for 2 turns. That's okay. In raids, on turn, apply defense up to the 2 most injured Astonishing X-Men allies or self on her turn, and then on enemy turn, apply evade to the most injured Astonishing X-Men ally or self. So, interestingly, this is only going to apply up to a maximum of 1, because sometimes passives or other abilities say how high it can stack. Now, in this case, it's only going to be always 1 evade. So I suppose if it's the same injured Astonishing X-Men ally, it's possible that it just might not apply because they already have one, unless there's something I'm missing here. But it is an interesting passive nonetheless for raids, and so that is the end of Shadowcat's or Kitty Pryde's kit here, and we are going to be getting, of course, today in the Friday blog post, the Firecracker 4th member. So let's look at the animations really quick here. So that's the basic. And then we have, is it the basic again? Oh wait. It looks weird on the end when you're looking in the video here. So that's the special there. Lockheed Blast. And then we have the ultimate. and that's kind of cool. His hits everywhere. Oh, no, sorry, it doesn't hit everyone, but does apply the disrupt as well, so that's not bad. I like the animations. I think the animations for Kitty Pryde and Iceman are really good so far. So we'll be taking a really quick break here, and then we're going to be jumping over to the latest Friday blog post, where it's going to be a little bit longer, and then we're going to talk about Astonishing X-Men as a whole once we've seen all the kits together. Alright guys, and here we are. So X Sneak Peek Week Day 4. This is the Friday blog post here on December 4th. And as you can see in the background, we have Jubilee here. So Jubilee is the legendary character coming to the games. Now let's read through this together, because this is also the blog post for Friday. So there's a fair bit of stuff here. So basically, yeah, we're getting Jubilee as the legendary character, a mutant born with the ability to generate brightly colored bursts of plasma energy. The energy obeys Jubilee's mental commands and explodes with her desired intensity, ranging from a mere blinding light to concussive forces that can turn a tree into toothpicks. Now, so she is the legendary for the Astonishing X-Men team, and we only really have a sneak peek on Jubilee's special ability, and this is because she isn't actually coming out for patch 4.6, probably for patch 4.7 as they allude to below. So let's scroll down here. So Jubilee's special ability attacks the primary target and then calls all of her Astonishing X-Men allies to attack. If she eliminates her target, Jubilee then spreads the multiple negative effects from the target to all her enemies. Now, there's going to be a wide variety of debuffs, including slow from Iceman, possibly disrupt an offense down from Kitty Pryde, and so that possibly could also spread again to everyone else. But so this is a combination kind of Red Skull's ultimate, which has a lot of Hydra members to attacking the same target, and then also Hela's ultimate that sort of spreads negative effects to all their enemies. Now, unfortunately, though, of course, you do have to kill the target. I'm assuming that with enough damage and enough characters that this would happen, but you do have to keep in mind that if she doesn't kill the target, then it doesn't spread the multiple effects to all the enemies. So that's all we know so far. And then we do have a little update here of the Kitty Pryde passive that was alluded to in the previous blog post, and this is up to do with the in the presence of Jubilee. So if Jubilee is an ally, on enemy miss or Astonishing X-Men dodge, heal the most injured Astonishing X-Men ally for 10% of this character's max health. Personally, I find this a bit underwhelming. I think for a legendary text or a text involving a legendary character, this could be a little bit better. And largely, I'm thinking about this in comparison to the Symbiotes, who a lot of us already have. If you're in the mid game or in the end game specifically, you're going to have a lot of these Symbiote characters unlocked. So I do really want to ask that question. Is when we get Jubilee, which apparently isn't going to be next patch, why are we going to want to build these characters up? There's so many mutants that are already in the game that we need. Characters like the Marauders, who are really important for Dark Dimension 3 and Dark Dimension 4, who I personally see using for that, alongside some other characters, of course, but that's a discussion for another time. Mutant gear is very in high demand with all of the good characters that are available to use that gear with. So are these going to be a set of characters that we're really going to want to invest in? And my second question is Jubilee going to be a good standalone legendary? Because we saw with Doc Ock that while he was war focused, he had I would say less of an impact as a legendary character for a wider team, like a legendary mixed hybrid team. He definitely has his uses, but he's not as good as, say, someone as Black Bolt or Ebony Maw or Phoenix, who can just be drag and dropped into a team and be really good. So we're going to have to wait and see to see the rest of Jubilee's kit and whether or not she does that or not, or if she's going to be more in line with someone like Doc Ock, where they might be one mode specific and not as wide-ranging as Ebony Maw, Black Bolt, and Phoenix. Those are the three that come to mind. Even Shuri, can be used in raids in Dark Dimension. So it does say here Jubilee will be arriving after Iceman and Kitty Pryde in a subsequent release. So to me that means, there we go, subsequent release. So to me that means it's going to be possibly patch 4.7, not 4.6. And it says, with backup from another unexpected ally. So I don't know if this is going to be another X-Men character who might be coming to the team. Currently all we know is that there's going to be Kitty Pryde, Iceman, Beast. I kind of thought that Storm was actually going to be added to this team. They didn't say anything about that yet, unless it's going to be Jubilee as the 5th, and then whoever this unexpected ally is might be the 4th character. But again, if that's the case, then we're going to have like basically a 3-person team until patch 4.7. So I don't like the idea of these characters being sort of not released all at the same time or even within the same patch, other than Black Order, which kind of did something over 2 patches. But I feel like for this, I don't know. we'll have to see. I don't plan on really gearing them to any large degree until I see the full team in its entirety. Otherwise, for raids, you know, I'm going to keep going with the tried and true Symbiotes. They're doing really well for me right now at this time. So let's carry on with the rest of the patch note, the rest of the blog post rather. So we are getting Doom War Chapter 3, and this is also really important here. And so we have the mission requirements here. So mission 1 to 3, no requirements, which is fine. 4 to 6, Avengers or Fantastic Four. So this would also include Wave 1 Avengers as well, because all Wave 1 Avengers are also Avengers, and Fantastic Four. A lot of these were already doubled in Doom War Chapter 1, I'm pretty sure. Doom War 1.7 to 1.9 also had Fantastic Four on it, and the Wave 1 Avengers, not Avengers specifically, but Wave 1 Avengers were also in previous Doom War chapters. And then we have Hero Tech or Hero Supernatural. So for Hero Supernatural, this includes all of the Supernatural characters except for Mordo, because he's a villain. Everyone else is a hero. Hero Tech, this would include characters like Shuri, Rocket, Groot, or sorry, not Groot, Shuri, Rocket, Star-Lord, and there's some other characters as well that you can use for that too. That's just off the top of my head anyways. And so they do have some more. This will be the rest of the mini uniques for Gear Tier 14. So if you're needing to farm some of these up still, the rest of them should be in this chapter. And we're also getting the farmability of Graviton and Taskmaster. Now keep in mind, Graviton is already in the War Store, so this could be a potential placeholder. Maybe not, but if it's not, then at least this gives you another place that you could farm him rather than in the War Store. And of course, Taskmaster is finally long-awaited farmability is being in Doom 3.9. I'm kind of disappointed that it's not Cull Obsidian, because I think he deserves a little bit more. Although I do have a 6 red Taskmaster and only a 4 yellow, so I do have a lot of farming to go for him to activate those red stars for him. So that's what we have going on here. We do have some December calendars. We have the Snowball calendar, which is coming back. So basically every day in December there's going to be some new stuff, whether it's the Cyclops login calendar or this new Snowball calendar, which is going to shovel up. It's going to give us snow globes and gold orbs. And I believe in the snow globe was character shards alongside gold, I believe it was last year. So look forward to that. Some extra money here for December, as we'll need it as we get leveling up towards 80, and we're going to be spending a lot of gold probably anyways, and possibly the return of Emma Frost later on this month maybe. And then it looks like we're getting an early touch on Ebony Maw. So Ebony Maw is coming back again a little bit earlier than expected. I'm pretty sure that Shuri was supposed to be before Ebony Maw, but it looks like this has been pushed up. So because it's mentioned in the blog post here, I suspect that we might be seeing him by late next week. Depends on when they start the calendar rolling, because I think there's normally 4 to 5 days when the calendar starts rolling, and then the event lasts for 3 days. So it's possible we're going to see him by the second week of December, and that's, I would say, about a week or two up from what we initially thought it was going to be. And then in terms of blitzes coming up, obviously currently as of right now we have the Yellow Jacket round 1 blitz going on, and then we have, it looks like, a Sorcerer Supreme Doctor Strange blitz on Monday, and the second run of Yellow Jacket on Thursday for next week. So if you do need to get some shards for Yellow Jacket, obviously we don't know what the unlock requirement is going to be for Jubilee, if it's going to be Pimtech or if it's going to be an arrangement of other characters. We don't really know at this point, so speculations in. I'm going to be trying to get my Yellow Jacket up to 5-star or as close as I possibly can, just in the off chance that they are the requirement for Jubilee, even though I don't know how impressed I am with Jubilee being the legendary, but I do just want to be cautious and try to be as prepared as I possibly can. And so for bonus events, we do have Relic Hunt coming back, so if you do need some ABCs and things like that, then that'll be coming as well, and of course double shards for that too. So that's the end of this blog post here, but that's not going to be the end of the video, because I want to go jump back into the game, and I want to talk a little bit about comparing Astonishing X-Men with the Symbiotes team. Alright guys, and just to round out this video, I just want to have a brief discussion about Symbiotes, because I think now that we know that the Astonishing X-Men team is going to be a raid team, we do need to ask this question, you know, for those of us who do have the Symbiotes leveled up, what incentive is it going to be for us to level the Astonishing X-Men team and gear them up? It's going to be, you know, brand new characters, probably at least 3 or 4 characters, mutant gear from the bottom, level 1, straight to level 75 to 80, depending on how far you want to take a character, gear tier 13, 14, 15, 14, whatever you know, however high you want to take them up to be your primary raid team, if that's what it's intended to be. You know, as you guys can see here on the screen, you know, I have a pretty beefy Symbiotes team here that are currently level 77 with the exception of Venom, who I'll get to later, and you know, I've built a lot of resources into them, and I'm looking at the kits from the Astonishing X-Men characters that we've seen here in this video. Of course, we don't know the full kit of Jubilee, but I don't suspect she's a support character, so I imagine that she's going to be, I don't know, another controller, because it seems like we already have controller from Iceman, so I don't know if she's going to be a blaster or she's going to be a controller in terms of her trait. Not sure it really matters anyways, but I don't think it's going to be healing. I think the healing is going to really come from Beast and that passive of Kitty Pryde's. And so I want to look at all the specific stuff that the symbiotes have in this regard really quick compared to the stuff that we've seen so far with the Astonishing X-Men. So of course, we know that the symbiotes also, it's not just a raid passive, it's also a dark dimension passive, so that already doubles for 2 different game modes. That's what makes them really good right now, because they're not just a raid team, they're also a dark dimension team, which is really important for game progression at this point as well. So that's, as far as I know, the Astonishing X-Men don't have that, and from looking at the kits from them as well, not sure those are characters that you're going to want to bring into dark dimension. So in raids in dark dimension here, when a negative effect is applied, the heal self and all heroes Spider-Verse symbiote allies for 3% of this character's max health. This builds up pretty quickly, and you get 100% drain for them all. So they all do quite a bit of damage, and that's a full amount. Like, the amount of healing that the Astonishing X-Men, even with Beast, is going to pale in comparison to the amount of drain that you get from the symbiotes for the amount of damage they do. My Scream hits for like 60-70k a piece on multiple enemies, and it's like almost every time the symbiotes do an attack, it's a full heal. So again, you're not going to be getting that off of the Astonishing X-Men characters, and it makes me really think, you know, why bother with a raid team when there's already a raid team that was just released and kind of finalized only like a patch and a half to 2 patches ago. So it hasn't even been that long, and they already want to do it again. And so there's a lot of stuff. The Symbiote Spider-Man, obviously, he brings a lot of that to them. But some of the kits of the other characters, Carnage is another important one here. It's not a raid-specific one, but we do know all about this. So when an enemy drops below 25% health, fill speed bar for 30% for all symbiote allies, and heal for 10% of this character's max health. This can snowball pretty quick as well for everyone else. And then we'll go to the passive of Scream. Again, more healing. So there's multiple characters with healing potential in their kit. So heal all, on the death of any character, heal all symbiote allies for 10% of this character's max health, and apply speed up for 2 turns. So that's really good there. Minus resistance to all enemies. And then of course we have Anti-Venom, who is the main support character of that team. And you know, he's clearing negative effects from the most injured ally. If the ally is symbiote, clear 1 negative effect from all symbiote allies. So there's a lot of good stuff in these characters. Venom, his passive gives defense up to 2 turns for all symbiote self and symbiote allies if his health is greater than 95%, which is almost always the time in raids because he gets all that drain, and there's a lot of healing going around in the team. So again, I just wanted to bring this up because a lot of people are going to be comparing these characters to the new Astonishing X-Men and really asking, do we need to gear them up? Do we want them? Why do we want them? You know, for what reason? So unless they're bringing out a new raid, possibly, I know that they're thinking about doing Greek sliders for Alpha, Beta, and Gamma, so where you could see them being used, the Astonishing X-Men characters are Alpha Global, and then Beta's kind of all over the place with different traits, different origins, and different lanes and things like that. And then Gamma, they might, as far as I know, they're not completely revamping the text for Gamma, and there's only a handful of segments of the raid where you can actually use X-Men characters. Now, I think all the Astonishing X-Men characters will have the base X-Men tag as well, so they will be usable there, but again, it's far and few between. So if you're not going to be using them for Ultima 7 or 6 or wherever you happen to be, you know, then what's the real point over Symbiotes, who 2.5 out of 5 are currently farmable as of this video, and I suspect that Scream and Anti-Venom probably will be definitely farmable before the Astonishing X-Men for sure. And I just wanted to bring up what we know so far about the Astonishing X-Men passives, and I got this here on a little notepad, which might be hard to see. Let's zoom in a little bit. So this is Iceman here. So in raids, I'm just taking out the raid specific stuff. So in raids, lower damage by 30% for all enemies with slow. This is pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. This is a pretty good passive, and this actually could be viable with other, you don't even have to be using the Astonishing X-Men to get this to use this, you could be using Iceman with Emma Frost, who often applies slow as well on top of that. So there might be some room to use Iceman as a standalone character, possibly outside of the Astonishing X-Men team. You just need to find a way to heal him if you're using another healer in your raids. Kitty Pryde's raid passives here, so on turn apply defense up to the 2 most injured Astonishing X-Men allies or self. This isn't bad. And then on enemy turn apply evade to the most injured ally, Astonishing X-Men ally or self. Now I talked about this previously, and I think it's probably only going to stack up to 1. So yeah, you might have the chance to do this, but it's gonna target the same injured Astonishing X-Men and ally. So if it doesn't keep stacking, then it's going to be a bit of a waste in my opinion. And then if Jubilee is an ally, this is the new stuff. Heal Astonishing X-Men ally for 10% of Kitty's max health, which isn't super impressive if you compare it to the Symbiotes, what they already do now in terms of healing for the team. So why are we going to want this whole new team? I think this might be better for the sort of mid-game players who might not have already invested into the Symbiotes, and now you have this option of whether or not you want to build the Symbiotes or if you want to build the Astonishing X-Men. But I would say that you would probably want to build strong raid characters that are farmable or very close to being farmable, aka the Symbiotes are going to be farmable before the Astonishing X-Men, and they perform incredibly well, and they double in Dark Dimension. So there's multiple reasons why you're going to want them. And in terms of the Astonishing X-Men, if it's just for raids and nothing else, I mean, obviously we don't know the full details exactly yet, but from the looks of things, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to bother raising them or not. And then here's Beast passive here. On turn, apply regen to the most injured ally, and then this was the update here. So if that ally is an X-Men, heal for 15% of his max health, and then if that ally is also an Astonishing X-Men, heal again for 20%. So you could potentially get a 35% heal on an Astonishing X-Men character, which is quite a bit, don't get me wrong. But again, you know, that's only once and on Beast's turn. And the Symbiotes kind of heal each other all the time when they're doing damage and applying debuffs. So they are really crazy. So why would we, you know, basically you're exchanging Biogear, which is the Symbiotes team, for the X-Men team, which is going to be Mutant Gear, which is already quite valuable with the Marauders characters and a lot of the characters that are being used right now in Global Dark Dimension 3. So Phoenix, and 4 for that matter. Phoenix, Emma Frost, Mr. Sinister, possibly Strife, you know, other characters, mutant characters who are going to be more valuable for that orange gear specifically. And for a good strong raid team, you're going to want to invest a little bit further, possibly into the orange gear. And what's good about the Symbiotes is that they double both in really strong raid teams and for Dark Dimension usage. So you're getting 2 for the price of 1, or 2 game modes for the price of 1. And I don't know if we're quite getting that for the Astonishing X-Men, or if we will get that. But of course, I want to see the full kit for Jubilee. I want to see if she has any use outside of her own team as well. And then who that other character, the 5th character fill-in, is going to be. If it's going to be Storm, I don't know. Or if there's going to be a brand new character who's going to be released in the patch with Jubilee for that slot. So again, we'll have to wait and see, but I think everyone should be asking this question about how badly do we need them, and if you don't, maybe hold on to your gear for someone better. So that's the end of this video here, guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was informative, and I hope that you guys learned something as well, and maybe gets your brain thinking about, with all these new characters coming to the game, how badly do we need them, how badly do we need to upgrade them, and how is that going to improve your gameplay in terms of what you're going to get done. So that's all for today, guys, and of course, until next time, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later. Boylan signing out.